We had a rough time trying to decide which story to bring you first. That's how truly rich our source material is. Now, there were some members of our group who said, let's do the one about John Pellegrini's gallstones. Did you ever hear of Edgar Casey, the man who amazed the medical world 30,000 times by correctly diagnosing illnesses without the benefit of blood tests or x-rays or even laying a hand on the patient? As a matter of fact, in the case of Mr. Pellegrini, he and his troublesome gallstones were 15,000 miles away. Oh, there's one other thing you should know about Edgar Casey. He was a streetcar conductor. Now, how did he come by his supernatural power? Who knows? But he had it. Members of the American Medical Association say he had it. And then there was one stubborn fellow. And he said, you know what we ought to do? We ought to do the story of the beautiful girl in this portrait. Of course, this is not our girl. However, some years ago, a very famous English portrait painter, impelled by an overwhelming urge that he could neither understand nor control, suddenly discovered that he could paint only one thing over and over again. The face of a girl he had never seen in his entire life. His livelihood, his talent, his very sanity were almost destroyed. And then many years later, in a remote Sicilian village he had never read about or seen or heard about, he found the girl herself. But that's not all. In the background of his picture, he had painted an ancient church destroyed by earthquake 300 years before. Explain it? I wouldn't even try. But the material never ends. There are over 150,000 cases of such phenomena. And I assure you that somewhere, something unexplainable is happening to someone at this very moment. Hair-raising, romantic, dramatic, even humorous, like the Phi Beta Kappa student who had to flee his college and change his name because he couldn't stop dreaming the correct results of sporting events. Well, quite naturally, the bookies moved in. Then what about that family on Long Island, the Hermans? Do you suppose that their furniture is still flying through the air? There's even a story in this glass of water. Right now, living in Oslo, Norway, is a manicurist named Sigrid Hansen. Now, why should she interest us? Because for the last 11 years, Sigrid Hansen has remained in perfect health, eating nothing and drinking only this, plain, ordinary water. And more than that, she has developed extraordinary powers of extrasensory perception. So much for the samples. But about this startling new show as a whole, we say this: when ordinary people of our real world encounter the chilling world of the unknown, when normal men and women take that one step beyond, that we think is incomparable drama. All the more memorable and amazing because these strange adventures are true. Absolutely